Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makati. Welcome to Culturize. This is a space that we've created to talk culture, to share culture, to learn culture, whether it's social, whether it's ethnic, whether it's native. Some people ask what culture is, and culture basically, the easiest way to explain it is 10 or more people doing, believing, and practicing the same traditions or the same things. And, in Hawaii, one of the beauties about Hawaii is that there's so many different cultures. Sometimes we don't even have to travel around the world. We can just walk right outside a door and learn a lot of things about our friends, because I think today, in this time in the world, we need to learn about each other. We don't necessarily have to like each other, but if we learn about each other, empathy will slowly kick in and we'll just all get along. I know it sounds kind of kumbaya-ish, but that's just what we do in Hawaii. So kick it off this episode. I'm excited. I'm humbled. I'm privileged. I haven't sat with this brother in years. I mean, we run into each other. We talk story every once in a while, but now that we have this space, he was one of the first ones I thought of when it comes to culture. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a familiar face from the hills of Papakolea, the Black Hawaiian, Lionel Wright. How are you, brother?
Hey, how's it? Thank you. Wow, what an awesome introduction. Thank you.
We have not seen, we see each other in passing.
Yes.
You and I have so many different connections, which goes back to when we were 18, like maybe 5 years ago.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for making time. I wanted to bring you on because you live. I don't want to see you live in two worlds. You live in the world, but multicultural, and a lot of times people don't realize. I just introduced you as the Black Hawaiian. First, before we get into that, what high school you went?
Okay, so high school, I went to Roosevelt High School.
The Roosevelt
High School. Yeah.
And then born and raised, grew up Papakolea.
Born and raised Papakolea, fourth generation Hawaiian homesteader.
Oh, look at that specific fourth generation. What was that like? Before Roosevelt? Where did you go? So your whole life was that area.
Yeah, my whole life was that area. I went to Lincoln Elementary. I went to Stevenson Middle School. For a little bit, I went to Koa down the road, but then I came back and I went to Roosevelt High School. And I went pretty much to school with the same people from kindergarten all the way to high school.
Not a lot of people can say that.
No, not a lot. Yeah,
right.
And that's one of the things that I'm really proud about, because when you see other people, not everybody has that.
Yeah, it's and on top of that, every school you went to was literally like 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah, well, it was always a walk. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, did mom make you walk to school? Every school you went to?
We never had a choice. Papakolea get on bus, Route 15. Right. But it's like, you had to pay, back then it was 15 cents for catch the bus as one kid. And Lincoln was just down the road. Papakolea, we get on shortcut. So it's literally maybe like on 10-minute walk, if even that,
I would always say they should have built one slide from that overpass right down to, can you imagine going to school right down there?
I think we're scared of heights over there. But that would have been a good idea. We never did try that.
Papakolea, Homestead, there's this competition. Aloha Festival's parade just happened, and it was funny because I think I created a little bit of controversy because I was doing trivia questions, and one of the questions was, who was the first homestead in Hawaii, right? Papakolea was the first homestead on Oahu, right?
Yes. Oh, no, actually.
Really?
No. Yeah, no. We were supposed to be the first homestead, but what had happened was actually Nanakuli was in front of.
Really?
Somehow came in front of us. So what I was told from our kupunas is that Nanakuli ran in front of us. That's
no way. Help
so
the country.
They're actually the first one on Oahu, and we became the third. So because Molokai was first, right?
Okay, Molokai was first Hawaii. Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Wow. So growing up in Papakolea, a lot of people know they say punch bowl, right? Yeah. They say punch bowl. If you guys are joining us, this is Culturize. I'm excited right now. Things are gonna happen organically with this brother because Lionel Wright, the Black Hawaiian. We're gonna talk about the cultures of being Black, the cultures of being Hawaiian, being raised in Hawaii. But we're getting schooled right now because we're gonna leave it with Punch Bowl. But I want to come back and tell everybody what Punch bowl is not punch bowl. Right? So this is what we do on Culturized.
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser Digital Full Access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHAITHING. For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. I'm excited. I'm getting educated. I'm getting educated every time I have a guest. I always think I want my guest to share with you that if you're listening, if you're watching on our socials, on YouTube, on KITV, whatever you're watching on. I like my guests to share with you, but I get a little bit greedy because I'm learning stuff. I'm a lifetime student. Sitting with the Black Hawaiian, Lionel Wright from the hills of Papakolea. We left off with growing up in Papakolea. Did mom, kupuna, did they always use punch bowl?
Actually, to be honest with you, Papakolea, we used the bridge.
Nice.
Yeah, that was always our boundary. So from the bridge on is non-community.
I like that.
So when we were born and raised, you can go past the bridge. That's what it was.
No way. So Papakolea bridge up. How far up does it go? Because now,
no, actually, that's down. That's like the beginning part. Like, you know, where you turn into like Punch Bowl Cemetery, right. Or you take that bridge going over into the the community.
So right where the Welcome to Papakolea sign.
Right after that they get that little bridge.
How far up does Papakolea go?
Oh, that's a
all
good
to
question.
The top.
So it goes all the way up to like there's like almost like a hairpin turn kind of like.
Yeah.
And then that's where like there's all bushes. That's really the ending part of Papakolea, and then it goes up. There's a steep hill called Ka'ulula'au, and that is actually named after my great grandfather.
Wait, hold on. So Ka'ulula'au is connected to Lanai. I don't know if you know this story.
Yes,
so Okay, now let me picture it. So if you're going up passing Papakolea, you're going up, you pass the hairpin. There's a steep drop?
No, so actually when you come to the middle of Papakolea and you pass the community center, they get the corner where the corner boys used to always be drinking.
Which was always funny because not to interrupt you, I always say when you go up Papakolea, you either better wave when you see the boys or you turn around and go home.
Oh, yes, exactly. Okay. So right at the corner boys, you make the left. And then when you make the left, you're going to go up and you're going to get to a fork in the road.
Okay.
And that's where it's Morera goes straight. Or if you take that right, that is Ka'ulula'au.
No way. I had no idea.
It goes all the way up to the top, and it is a beautiful view.
That's why I would go, but I had no idea. Now I have a connection with
here's
Lanai.
Something interesting. In Papakolea, there's always different grades of people, right? The people who live on Ka'ulula'au feel like they're above everybody else.
They live in Papakolea Heights.
Yeah. Okay, we have our own. Papakolea is also known as Beverly Hills. You know that kind of stuff.
I always hear that term too, Beverly Hills. Papakolea is Beverly Hills. I didn't know that. That's too funny. The elitists live on Ka'ulula'au.
You get the below the park guys. You get
really.
Yeah, it's so divided.
That's too fun. Okay, so let me ask you this. So those that are watching or listening in, we hear the term homestead a lot. Hawaiian homestead, Hawaiian homes. In your manao, what if you can explain it? What is homestead? Because a lot of people, even non-Hawaiians, are like, oh, how come they get it? What is that?
I like that. So basically, what homestead is federal property that's put aside, for the indigenous people. It's the same thing with the Indians. But I'm going to tell you this, Hawaiians, they don't like to be compared to the Indians.
Right, yeah.
So very early when they had this sovereignty movement, Papakolea, I remember I was a young boy, and these Indian guys came to talk to the Hawaiians. And while they was talking to us, in the beginning, one Hawaiian would stand up and say, hey, that's all good, but we're not Indians. So it's nothing to do with us.
I've heard that quite a few times from kupuna, from elders. Yeah. I remember I was doing a conference somewhere, and it's cool. Like they want to include the indigenous peoples and this and that. And kupuna was like, no. We're Native Hawaiians. We're not Native Americans. Same, but different, right? So homestead was set aside. Isn't it now? It's been over 100 years now?
Yeah, over 100, yeah. Well,
So,
I believe, for Papakolea, it's actually coming up to the anniversary.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming soon.
So, and a lot of people wonder, okay, what Hawaiians can get Homestead. So we'll talk a little bit more about Papakolea. And that's what we're doing right now. This is Culturized. We're sitting with the Black Hawaiian. I'm excited. We're just getting into the mind of him. And I always love his mana'o and his views on the world. And we're going to get into what it's like to be a Black Hawaiian right here on Culturized. Air and Sea Travel Center, best group tours throughout the world. Let's go travel and see the world to make beautiful memories. Call 808-951-9800 today. Long's Drugs is always here for Hawaii, providing your family with their local favorites and accessible health and wellness services to keep you safe and healthy. Make Long's a part of your day. Windows Hawaii. Trust Windows Hawaii. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized, sitting with the Black Hawaiian, Lionel, Wright. I'm excited. We just talked about Homestead. A lot of people hear it. A lot of people, they have an idea what it is. It's federal land set aside. And correct me if I'm wrong, Prince Kuhio.
Yes.
He was the one.
Yes.
Went to Washington, D.C. and said, hey, come on now, right? And you've raised your entire life.
So here's the interesting thing. According to my family's history, okay, Prince Kuhio and my great-grandfather, John Whitney Ka'ulula'au Wright.
That's so crazy.
They went up to Washington, D.C., and that's how Papakolea became a part of the Hawaiian Homestead Act. As you can tell, all the land is rural, right? We're the only one in town because we actually fought to be a part of the Homestead Act.
We
weren't supposed to be.
And so... And there was a little bit of controversy, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because they looked at the site, and imagine if you're watching and listening, Papakolea is right on the backside of Pu'u Waina, not Punch Bowl, Pu'u Waina. But it was just basically like a cliffside, a hill.
Yes.
And the controversy was, how are we going to build over here?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I gotta say... Hawaiians the most beautiful part of town, right?
Oh yeah, because it's funny that you put it that way, because that's really what it is we had raw land. You know what I mean? Like and even to today, like, you know, in front of my house, we don't have concrete sidewalk. You know what I mean? There is concrete sidewalks, but it ended at a certain point because, and this is what people don't understand, is that before you can call us Papakolea, the ahupua'a or the land division is... You know, it's Kevalo. So
no way.
We're Kevalo, yeah. So Kevalo is actually where we're from. So if you think about it, my grandparents, when they initially lived, they actually lived closer to Kaka'ako. And then later on, they ended up moving up the hills.
Okay, so now I see it. That's the weird thing about the city, because you go to the rural countries like you can automatically see the ahupua'a. Now that you mentioned Kevalo, now from Kevalo Basin, I'm looking all the way up. Totally makes sense. So did your grandparents refer to Papakolea as Kevalo?
Well, my grandmother used to tell me about stories when they used to eat. She told me that call time, especially dinner time, okay? She said Kevalo used to have on tuna factory back in the old days. At Kevalo Basin now, they had on tuna factory. My grandmother said they all used to sit, was her and she had 9 siblings, so, you know, or eight of them, so 9 of them total. They all would sit down. Mama would give them one bowl of rice and put a little bit Hawaiian salt on top for flavor. She said they take a scoop of the rice, eat them, smell the fish, and then swallow. And she said, oh, you could almost taste the fish.
Really?
And I would listen to this going, my goodness.
That's like, all they, wow.
But, you know, when you pour, I mean, put it this way. Hawaii before federal funding was a third world country.
Wow. That's
People
heavy. That's heavy.
Right now, you know, but Hawaii was in a different time.
So were grandma them and your genealogy moku, they lived in Kevalo that whole time up until now. So you basically...
Well, actually, my grandmother says that she grew up there. My grandfather, the Wrights, actually came from Molokai.
Hello, there you go. That's a. Why did I think of that? Right, that's a huge Molokai family.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How did that connection happen?
Oh, bro.
Molokai and Oahu.
My family talks about how there is actually well, there's 2 stories. I heard the one he was a priest, but then I also heard about a whaler that defected off of the boats, and then that's where he married one woman, but she had 2 sisters. And so the Wright family is actually
those branches.
Yeah, so, and that's where the Hawaiians, we were really good at that, jumping fence and stuff. So my family, we're talk about spread the aloha. Let me tell you.
But back then it was. I mean, well, with the introduction of religion and Christianity, of course, it became a bad thing. But prior to that, like that was just aloha everybody.
Well, and that's what people don't understand is that prior to this, man, Hawaiians had a different way of life, and even the words. People don't understand, but the words, like, even though we could take the Hawaiian words and change them into English, we didn't take the meanings,
So we're talking culture. We're talking about the Black Hawaiians' background. I want you to share with us coming up in this next segment is words that we use to describe popolo, pa'ele, all those things. I want you to share in your mana'o what you like, or what is more synonymous to you, and where these two cultures came in to create Lionel Wright, right here on Culturized. At Aloha Kia, you know a guy. Visit them at any of their 7 dealerships statewide. Purchase a brand new Kia using Aloha Kia Express. Learn more at alohakia.com. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. It is me, Makani. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sitting with Lionel Wright from the Beverly Hills of Oahu, Papakolea, which I just learned, Kevalo Ahupua'a, Ka'ulula'a. We just found another connection with you and I, Tulana'i. Now, we want to get Lionel Wright, the Black Hawaiian. You started this label, and I'm gonna before we get into that, some of you are going, why does he look familiar? I want to say your upbringing and your traditions and culture has pushed you to do a lot of things. You've been successful. Club Rocks Rock, and I'm hoping our research team can find an album cover, because Kimo is here too. An album cover. Did I just say album? Yeah. See, an album cover of Club Rocks Rocks.
Well, back in the day, the biggest thing was we released a CD. Back in 1990, and back then that was a brand new.
It was a new thing.
Media, yeah. So we're the first guys to come out on the CD.
Pinstripe baseball jerseys. How I like to say, and Kim and I agree, Hawaii's first boy band. Hip hop, R&B, rap, all together in one. But I had to get that out. We're going to talk about that more when you go to our extended version. But let me throw this out. I want to get serious on this segment. Black Hawaiian. You created this label. Why Black Hawaiian?
So that's an interesting question, and I've never been asked this before on television, so thank you so much. So the reason why is this, to be honest with you, I was actually a city bus driver, and at the time, one of my coworkers had a t-shirt company, and I had offered to buy the company. So he said, well, let me check with my wife. My wife said no. So my wife said no. So I said, okay, well, I guess I got to make my own t-shirt company, because I still wanted to print t-shirts. I just had this idea that I wanted to make my own company. Back then, there was no other t-shirt companies. I was actually, there was nobody.
Another thing that you were in the genesis of.
Oh no! There was all bus was
well, but there was this only a small handful of people that were thinking ahead. Like you're a forward thinker, right? I'm going to create a label. I'm going to create T-shirts, and you were one of those. Black Hawaiian.
And so that's where the name is this. When I try to think, what am I going to call it? Well, I couldn't call it Lionel, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even though I wanted to, but I couldn't. So how could I do it? Something to sell shirts. And what I remember is this: my whole life, I was called either two things, either a Royal Hawaiian or a Black Hawaiian. And I just remember everybody just calling me Black Hawaiian. Hey, Black Hawaiian, Black Hawaiian. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take ownership on this. So I copyrighted the name, and I wasn't the first one. Somebody else actually had the name, and they went default on the thing. So I actually turned around and changed the name a little bit, and boom, I became the Black Hawaiian, 2003.
Now, Black Hawaiian, is it because the ethnicities that you have, or because we talk about Royal Hawaiian, and a lot of people don't realize Royal Hawaiians back then were very dark, right? So is it because of your ethnicities, or just because of the color of your skin? What was it?
It's because of my ethnicities, but not only that, it's because of what a Black Hawaiian is. And that's what people don't understand, is that when a Hawaiian person calls a person of color a Royal Hawaiian or a Black Hawaiian, this is the controversial part, is what you're saying is that you remind me of my king. You look like my king. Ooh. And when I tell people that, they go, no, I never say that. Where do you get that from, Hawaiian? You're all wrong. But I'm going to tell you this. That's what it is. Because King Kamehameha the Great was known as the Royal Hawaiian, but his unofficial nickname was the Black Hawaiian.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what it is a big, large stature man, dark man, who is a leader. That's what a Black Hawaiian is. So
that's why. So I learned years ago that his statue that sits in Washington, D.C. was never in the rotunda with all the other world leaders. He was in the back corner because they thought he was black.
Yes, exactly.
If you're joining us right now, first of all, I got to say mahalo for making time to share with us your manao and iki. But if you want to get into more of all these terms that we explain, people with dark skin, you're getting it straight from the Black Hawaiian. So join us on the extended version on YouTube. So you want to learn more about being a Black Hawaiian, what it's all about, and his manao on some cool things. It's on the YouTube extended version. Thanks for joining us. This is Culturized. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. Welcome to Culturized. If you're on YouTube right now, this is the extended version. If you watched the prequel to this on KTV, thank you so much for doing that. Hit all those notifications, the like button, validate my existence. I gotta say, we're in season 7, which I completely appreciate you folks for watching and hitting the like button. Validates my existence, but more importantly, it shows that our guests are people of importance to share with you. So I'm sitting with Lionel Wright, the Black Hawaiian. We are talking about, and I want to finish up this conversation because if you didn't join us, we're talking about the Black Hawaiian. The question was it because of your color of your skin or your ethnicity? And he just dropped some knowledge on us. So go listen to that. But I want to get into words we use. Popolo, pa'ele. I don't know any others that there are, but what do you prefer? Or what did your kupuna and what did they say about those words?
Interesting. And thank you for asking me that because that's really a good one. And I'll tell you this, for me, like I never did like the word popolo. Not that it's a derogatory thing. I was like, that doesn't really feel like it's me. You know what I mean? Pa'ele is interesting because pa'ele actually means a dirty type of black. So really, like if somebody says that, they're not my friend, So that is actually more detrimental than the word popolo. When people non-Hawaiians used to tell me that, I used to tell them that I should slap you for telling me that. Yeah, because people would actually tell you that. Yeah, well, because they don't know, you know what I mean? Like, they don't know better, okay, hey, pa'ele, hey. But I should slap you in the head because you're from like, oh, wow. Well, because they don't know what they're saying. That's true. That's like saying the N-word, Right. You know what I mean? And for me, like, you're not my friend. Like, you're not, that's not funny. You know what I mean? I like that because there's a little bit of error, but at the same time, I love the fact that you educate them at the same time. Well, you're like, they say it and you're like, hey. Well, to be honest with you, nowadays you can do that. See. So that's the funny thing is that back in the day, you could check people. Nowadays, you have to just let them go. See. And this is the life that we're in, And it's funny because it's like, as life goes on, you have to learn to live with the majority, But so I'm just going to take that one step further. You can't check anybody unless they're on the other side of the welcome to Papakolea sign. Well, as long as there's no cameras or any witnesses. I tell you. No. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing is that, it's funny that you should say, well, we should go into that round because, really that's what teaching a community or raising kids is all about is as you raise them and you teach them, you pa'i them along the way. It may not be physical, but it's going to be mental. You're going to teach them different things, You're going to tell them, like, this is how we are. This is what we do, Do you see a huge difference growing up in Homestead from when you were there? Because back when you were growing up, anybody in any household can give you licking. Yes, exactly. Is it like that today? No. Really? Yes. Yeah. You see a huge difference with the kids that are growing up in specifically Papakolea Homestead today? Yes. And the reason why I'm going to tell you this is that we're not growing up in the same community. And this is where it's interesting because now, our community center is owned by our community. And at first we thought that was an empowering thing. But with the community that I grew up in, the city and county ran the community center. Mr. Mori was the park director, and when I grew up, Mr. Imada was the park director who ran. We had summer fun every year. We had sports leagues, basketball, baseball, football. Now we have none of these things. None, zero.
Really?
Yeah, I've been trying for years to try to see how we could try to bring it back, but somehow it's not financially viable for people. So, it's just not something that they want to do anymore.
Because I always get stoked to always follow what you're doing as we both get older. Because now you from a keiki being in those programs that were provided, now you sit on the board. You're you're almost kupuna elder status. Like there's gonna be some kid going, my kupuna Uncle Lionel. But now you're at that point where you're making decisions and you're giving your input. What is that like? Is there still pressure because that is your mo'oku'aha, your genealogy is Papakolea?
Well, so that's the hard and the crazy thing is that everybody, we have a kuleana, we have a responsibility. And the responsibility that was given to me, was 4 generations ago. You know what I mean? And basically, people would ask, how do we know where we're going in life? And the way that we know where we're going in life is we got to look back at the past. Because when we look back and we see that line, then we look forward and we match where that line is. And that's how we know where are we going? We lost that. What we get nowadays is we get these new corporate and business and people that said, hey, now it's a new day. We got a new leadership and we're going to do things my way. Meanwhile, we do that. We make all the past mistakes that those other people made.
Kept doing.
Yeah.
So you see our thousands in the studio audience. What was the theme this season so far? Reconnection. Everybody we sat down with up to this point, it was all about this reconnection. Kavama mua, kavama hope. In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you've come from. You got to reconnect. I mean, even Leslie Aloha we had on. She talked about using indigenous knowledge for contemporary problems, and I love that you just shared that because a lot of people don't say it, a lot of people don't think it, right? And that's what I love about you, because you're gonna say everything that's on your mind, and that's what we need to. So mahalo for sharing that part. What growing up in the house, what was more prominent, or did you realize the Black culture and the Hawaiian culture? Obviously, growing up in Papakolea, right?
So, this is the interesting thing is this. I didn't know anything about Black people. I didn't even know I was Black. You know what I mean? For real.
When did you realize?
Well, I knew I was different because everybody would call me some different words, you know what I mean, growing up. But it's only stuff that they heard from other people. You know what I mean? So whatever they heard. And you know what's crazy is that, my mom tried to dress me up like Michael Jackson when I was young.
And you're like,
young Michael Jackson. So, I had a big afro.
No way.
Yeah, I tell you. But I could dance too. So
well, of course.
Yeah, but, it was crazy because, I didn't realize, looking out of my body, I didn't realize what people were seeing. I only see what I see out, right? So all I see is
eye cannot
Hawaiian
see itself.
People, and all I hear is what people tell me who I am and how I am. What is my blood? Who am I? What am I raised to be? So, that's where, for me, it was really confusing when I was growing up. And so I only knew Hawaiian. Then my mom started dating this guy when I was 11 years old, a Black guy, of course, right? And so, he came and he met me and he told me, you know anything about the Black culture? And I was like, nope.
Really?
He'd be like, what's wrong with the boy? How come he don't know what he is, And so my mom was like, well, I don't know, I'm not Black, we listen to Motown,
right?
That was my Black history prior to that. So he's the one that said, hey, I'm gonna tell you a Black person, and your job is to go find out who that is. I'm gonna give you lickings.
No way. See, that's what I always say. So if you're joining us, genealogy and mo'oku'auhau, your genealogy, that determines the color of your skin, the color of your eyes, your hair. It's your culture and traditions that determine how you treat people, how you see people, how you talk to people. And you had a crash course in what was that like, realizing, oh wait, I'm somebody else too?
That was interesting because to be honest with you, the thing that I was other than was much more exciting. You know what I mean? Because here I was seeing Black people, performers, actors, you know what I mean? All of this entertainment. And I was like, oh, you telling me I'm that? You know what I mean? So that's what went in my head is like, wow, I got to become something. So that one flip one switch in my head. Like, it's weird.
And so that's what sparked your whole entertainment life.
Well, that and the fact that my auntie was dating another black man, and he worked for 83 AM KIKI.
No way.
His name was, his area name was Scott Fennell.
What?
And my Uncle Charlie. And he's the one that bring me on cassette tape and said, listen to this. On that was Curtis Blow, Spoonie G, and that's my introduction to rap.
Really?
12 years old.
So right then you already knew. You grew up until 12, Hawaiian, and then you realize there's another ethnicity to you, but not only the ethnicity, but a whole entire culture to you.
Well, yeah. Well, that, and then people in Papakolea were kind of doing that already. So I grew up with like the Monte brothers.
Oh yeah.
Who was Poppy.
Yeah.
Guys like Kamaili.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Kapua. Everybody knows this guy. Growing up, and that guy, these guys.
You're aging us right now.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Well, some people may know these people out there, but hey, that's how I really got into dancing is when I saw these guys popping and locking and eventually breaking and that's where it was crazy because like I was that, like I was black, like what, like oh man, like this
that's
is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Did you used to carry around your cardboard and linoleum so you can break?
I wasn't a breaker, but I was more like a. It's funny that my grandfather had a name for Popolo people, for black people. He would call them Kealohas.
Kealohas?
Yeah, because
how come?
They get the love. That's why.
No way. I like that.
So it was crazy because like that's kind of like what I kind of that's what
wow.
made me go in that direction.
Interesting. So you started, from that you started dancing, you started getting into the cultural side of being black. Because we met, man, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But we talked about Club Rocks earlier. What was before that? Were you doing anything before Club Rocks?
So here's something interesting is this, like, when I actually first started doing any type of dance was in Papakolea. In Papakolea, I was dancing hula for Auntie Lydia.
No way. I had no idea.
Auntie Lydia Kaukahi.
Yeah.
So I was actually dancing with the Makaha Sons back then. We were, that's all the tracks.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my first introduction into dance was I was doing hula in the community center. And then next thing you know, when I got into high school, then that's when I started really venturing out.
You're like, hula? No way. Let me do some.
But I thought hula was good because it taught you how to move your hips. You know what I mean? So I like that part of it.
Because of course, Castle Park, you went to move your hips. So from hula, I love this because talk about culture, hula, and then you went. When did you start? Okay, dance was first, and then you started rapping or singing, which was, or both? At the time it was both.
Actually, was rapping because, like growing up in Papakolea, we learned from, during the summer fun. That's why the summer fun is so important. We had Mrs. Kalama. And Mrs. Kalama, she would teach us hula, teach us chant, and teach us the songs, singing. To be honest with you, when I look back, I say, I went to all the same schools as all of these other, Haole and Japanese kids. But how come I'm different? And the reason why I'm different is because the community, they're the one that taught us the culture. You know what I mean? Like that's where we learn to be Hawaiian. That's where we learn to sing the Hawaiian music, dance, we dress up. And, the thing that was most important with the summer fun is that we would have a finale at the end of the year.
That's right.
So we had to
And you guys always had the best one.
Oh, thank you.
No, Papakolea always goes the extra mile. You guys always have. I mean, if it's not just a party in Papakolea, it's a whole festival.
What you know what's the most important thing of any community? And this would be not a controversial thing that everybody probably would not say, but I'm gonna tell you this: this is what every community needs is you need one mahu.
There you go.
You need one matriarch mahu in your community. In Papakolea, when we first started off, we had Uncle Po'o. Uncle Po'o, he was the one that always did everything in community, and he was married to a wahine, but he was very,
right.
Soft. But, he was the one that taught us about culture and everything. Later on we had Uncle Pony, and that's where I got into the King Kamehameha.
That's right.
Day, committee. Is that was our community's kuleana. Later on, like, I became president of Papakolea.
That's right.
And when I did that, they said, hey, who's going to be on the board? And so for me, Pony was on there before. And then I actually took over when Pony, had.
That's heavy kuleana to take over Pony's spot.
You know what's crazy is that like I took over the lei draping, and that was one of the most important parts of the whole thing. Not only, culturally, you know what I mean, but also like the whole, you've been there, like you have to have everybody from the kupunas. And for us, we were just involved with just the lei draping and having the young Kane there.
Because everyone is watching you.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So this is what I'm going to tell you this. The reason why I stopped is that, when I was doing it, they had told me that because you're the leader, you got to lead from the front. And so this year we wanted to do something different. And I said, okay, what are we doing? They said, well, since you go and be on the mound, because the leader got to lead from the front, you have to dress like the king. And I was like,
you put me in one malo.
Yeah, one cape. No, one malo. So here I was, bro, 55 or 50 years old, putting on one malo to go to the lei draping.
I love that.
Oh, bro, that was. I did it, but I was so scared. You do it when you're young,
of course.
And I seen you on the floor.
In our adult life, it's weird, right? But you did it. Mahalo. We're going to wrap this up, but I want to bring you back because there's so much more we want to talk about. I even want to talk about your manao on the mahele. But if you are joining us, thank you for being here. This is Culturized. Lionel Wright, the Black Hawaiian, dropping some knowledge right here on Culturized.